Hi, I'm Pastor Harold Sutton, and I'm back with Testimony 2 Remake. I made a tape. Actually, we went live on yesterday, but I didn't realize that my back window was down. I was driving, and all you could hear was noise, noise, noise. So I decided to do a remake on that, and I was going to share with you some of my fun studio surprise moments. But before I do that, I want to share something that's out of my book entitled The Restoration of the Levitical Priesthood. And I wrote this book to be a blessing to pastors and music ministers, musicians, artists, to kind of bridge the gap in relationships and to share information that will help them in their careers. And one of the things that I want to talk about, I know some musicians and some artists have a problem balancing ministry with business. And I just want to give you this little tip, okay? And then sometimes we, as musicians and artists, we deal with these promoters and sometimes they don't honor their words with their contract, and you don't either get the money that you're supposed to get, or you don't get your money at all, or some things just go wrong. And so I've seen a lot of nasty stuff from beautiful people, and I was surprised, how they respond when things didn't work out. So I just want to give you this little tip out of this book. It is essential that however we decide to respond to unfavorable situations, be sure that your actions and responses reflect the kingdom of God. Okay? And that's what I want to say, in that area. Make sure it reflects the kingdom of God. Now, you say you're saved, you're born again, but then again, you have those who are not born again. So I wouldn't expect them to basically go this way, but I would expect for them to conduct themselves with honor and integrity. Okay? And secondly, I want to talk about a big problem that's a lot of our ministry deals with musicians. We have a lot of musicians that they have problems with infidelity. They have problems. They get involved with these different ladies in church. A lot of them have babies, and you have to be careful with that. I know people don't want to address it, but I'm going to address it because it needs to be addressed. Now, I just want to share, this is also in my book. Now, you just remember that individuals who are in authority and in a position of influence in their ministry must be dedicated and committed. They must not only be committed to their performance of expectancy, but also in their ability to resist temptation, not abusing the privileges of the office which was entrusted to them. Okay? Now, all that is saying is that, you're there at the church for one purpose, and that's for ministry. And you ought to keep that in mind, okay? You ought to keep that in mind. The pastors are trying to, get individuals, saved and introduce them to Christ and a kingdom way of living. And while he's doing that, then you have, a lot of our musicians, instead of being in service and being in tune with what's going on in the spirit realm, we're looking around, watching whom, sound like the enemy when God asked Satan was up there with Roman. Where you going, Satan? And I'm going to and fro from the earth, seeking whom I may devour. And that's what a lot of musicians do. You go to church and you seek. You're seeking for who you can devour. And that's not of God, and that's not good. And many people fall into really serious trouble. as a result of that. The Bible says, blessed is the man that standeth not in the way of the ungodly, or sitteth in the seat of the scornful. You shouldn't lead anybody astray. Somebody trying to do right and get salvation, and you lead them astray when your purpose is to help. Ministering songs is the gift. So just be mindful of that, okay? Okay, be careful to protect your anointing. You have to protect your anointing. All right, and then I'm going to share one more thing. One more thing. Somehow we're living in a time where musicians, you're out there hustling, and we forgot all about the purpose, kingdom purpose, what we should be doing. We're going to read this. I want you to listen carefully. Many Christians today, musicians, artists, singers, are unconsciously aware of the fact that they are exploiting their God-given gifts for their own personal gain. Will God honor what has been entrusted to you to make a mockery of those things which he holds sacred? Somehow we have lost focus and the importance of our function in music ministry. We must evaluate ourselves and ask, am I really doing God's will? Or do I use God for my gain? Am I a true believer? I have to flip the page. Am I a true believer, or am I an exploiter? Am I the door that leads to the door of life, or am I the thief that comes in the night to kill, steal, and destroy? And that message not only go out to musicians, but even ministers, pastors, because a lot of your pastors are not doing right by your people. Some of you just as guilty as a musician, going through the congregation and having sex with these women, and then you pastors who are gay, you're having sex with these men. That's wrong. And so I need you to, you need to stop. You need to repent, turn from those wicked ways, and say, God, I'll do better. Okay? Remember the book, Restoration of the Levitical Priesthood. It's an awesome book that it will bless you real good. Now, if you'd like to have a copy of this, book, just hit me on Facebook, inbox me, and say, Pastor Sutton, I'd like to have a copy of the Restoration of the Levitical Priesthood. It's only $10. You send it to my cash app, you send $10 to my cash app, and with the information, I'll mail it out actually the same day. I'll mail it out to you on the same day. It costs $10, add $3 for shipping, and we're good to go. Restoration of the Levitical Priesthood, putting ministry first. Okay? Now, here's goes the story. And this is the remake of the story. Now, I want to first tell you about the experience that I had. I was at NPR studios down in downtown Washington, D.C. NPR studios, National Public Radio. And, of course, their studio is not open to the artists. It's not open, outside of what they do in the news industry there. But God gave me favor. I had a friend who worked there, and God gave me favor. And I was able to use their state-of-the-art studio to do editing and to mix a project, a live recording that I had that featured Kimberly McFarland from Chicago and the legendary Tessie Hill out of Detroit, Michigan. We had Vanessa Williams of the Richard Smallwood Singers, and Jackie Ruffin, formerly of the Richard Smallwood Singers, and I believe Steve Long's group was there singing background for me. Their name, Friends, yeah, that's their name. And then I had John Bucky Tillery, had his group. I mean, it was an awesome session. Well, anyway, I was at NPR studios to add. Actually, I needed to do some overdubs to lay my horns because I didn't do live horns. Actually I couldn't afford the live horns at that time, so I decided just to do, synthetic, synthesizers. And anyway, while I was there, I was doing the horn tracks, laying the horn tracks, and somebody peeped their head through the door. They just peeped their head through the door and say, excuse me, I was outside and I heard you, and I like what I heard. It's okay if I come in. And I looked, and it was the Wynton Marsalis. And he was there to do a jazz symposium. He was in the larger studio, the A studio, where you have the orchestra, the whole 9 yards. And so I'm like, come on, man, sure, you come on in here. And he went, I was trying to act all cool, I'm like, but anyway, man, I was just so excited. I wanted to pick up the phone and call my buddy, Pastor Danny McCrimmon, and to let him know who was down here, man. And so, but I was cool. But went and wound up sitting for about 2 hours there with me. And I was surprised, but he was really enjoying it. He asked me, he said, Harold, how'd you do that? I said, do what? He said, he said, where's your score sheet at? I don't see your score sheet. He said, you're doing these horn tracks and you're just knocking them out. He said, how did you do that? I don't see these little sheets around here. And I said, man, it's up here, man. I said, when it's up here? And I create as I go, right? And so he was just so amazed with that. Of course, I know I invited him to do the live trumpet, right? I invited him, but he's under contract at that time, and he couldn't do it. Well, anyway, so he sits there, and he just was enjoying the different songs. I mixed one of the songs. Like I said, I was doing Kim McFarland, "The Blood Saved Me." Oh, he really loved that song, and so after a while, he said, well, I got to go because I got to set up, my jazz symposium starts in about an hour. And I said, okay, well, he gave me his contact numbers and gave me free tickets. He was there for the whole week for his jazz symposium there in National Public Radio. And man, of course, I went and had a good time. We had a good week. And that was just wonderful. So as soon as he went out the door, he went through the door, man, I flipped my phone out. Danny, man, guess who was here? Wynton Marsalis, come on down here, man, come on down here. I know Pastor Danny. Amen. If he's free, he's gone. Boom. And he said, give me the address. So I gave him the address down on Mass Avenue, Northwest. And so Pastor Danny came down. I don't know if he got a chance to meet Wynton because Wynton was setting up. But I think he did peep his head through the door, and he saw Wynton, and then he came back into the studio where I was, and then I told him, I said, well, hey, man, help me mix these drum tracks about the Pastor Danny, awesome drummer, man, awesome drummer. And the drummer that I had on the session was the world-renowned the late Ricky Wellman. For those who don't know Ricky was the world-famous trumpeter, Miles Davis drummer. Also, he was Chuck Brown, original drummer. They started that go-go thing. He's the father of go-go. That beat you hear, that go-go beat, yeah, that's Ricky Wellman. And so I wanted to make sure that I did justice to Ricky Wellman because he really blessed the session. And so Danny did an awesome job in mixing that for me. He mixed the drums for me on that song. And I'm telling you, that was one of the highlights for me to have Wynton Marsalis, the Wynton Marsalis, to be in the studio with me for 2 hours. And that was just a blessing. And another studio experience, this is another story. is that the late Ricky Fowler and myself, we was in Silver Spring, some studio in Silver Spring, Maryland, and we was preparing for a session. We was there, ready, all set up and ready to go, and all of a sudden, the engineer whispered in our ears. He said, "Look, man," he said, "Maurice Starr is here, and he needs a favor from you." And so we said, "Okay, tell him come on in." So Maurice Starr, y'all know, for those who don't know Maurice Starr was the producer, and actually he's the one that got the Boys and Men and New Edition together, and what's the all-white group, Backstreet Boys and something like that, out of Boston. Well, anyway, Maurice Starr. And we was excited, but of course, we was trying to be cool. And Maurice came in, gave us dapped us up, "Man, what's up, bro?" Stuff like that. Then he told me, he said, "Look, guys, I have to get in the studio tonight because I have a deadline I have to meet, and I have to have this in L.A. tomorrow." And he said, "Look," he said, I want to buy you 8-hour block time. And I'll reimburse you. I'll pay for your time, and plus I give you something extra for inconvenience. And then he looked at me. He said, also he said, "Well, I'll pay you for your time in the session as well." At that time I was just a musician, laying tracks. Ricky was the producer, and so anyway, that was a good payday because he took care of us real good. And so we said, "Okay," so we packed our stuff up, and he said, "Don't go nowhere." He said, "Why don't you just hang around, And I'm like, 8 hours, just watching, I probably could hang around an hour, but we wound up hanging around, and then he said, "Look, we're gonna go get something easy after we finish here. We're gonna jump in a limo and go to Georgetown." And I'm telling you, it was a wonderful, wonderful time on that evening. So those two of my stories. I have a lot of stories. Okay, here's one more. This is a quick one. Okay. I was at RFK Stadium there for a big show. I can't remember. I think it was Wilson. He was the producer. And it was nothing but secular artists, no gospel artists, nothing but secular artists. And I was there to perform with my friend, the harmonica player Alvin Nesbitt. And it was co-sponsored by Howard University. Well, anyway, we was there at the show, and we opened up. And I'm telling you, we had a ball, man. Ollie Brown, the drummer for Stevie Wonder back then, and Ray Parker. I mean, here I am, this young kid, 22, 23 years old, and there I'm looking up at Billy Davis and Marilyn McCoo. Y'all know that couple. Ray Parker Jr., amen, the dude that wrote Ghostbusters and a lot of other hits, so it was just wonderful, man. We were just having a nice fellowship, and I was just enjoying myself. And as I performed, myself and Alvin Nesbitt performed, all those guys was dapping us up, and Billy, all of them, they was just, man, we really enjoyed it because, Alvin was a harmonica player, and he could play just as good as Stevie Wonder. And of course I did my thing to the point when I came down off stage, and Jane Kennedy, y'all remember Jane Kennedy, the actress? She was there right there at the bottom of the steps. And of course at that time, I don't have all this weight. I was slim, looking good, and at that time, we had the afro, and and I got to the bottom of the steps, and she said, Jane said, "Y'all was so good." And so she just grabbed me, and out of the blue, she kissed me right here, y'all. Jane Kennedy kissed me right here. So y'all know what I did? Well, I'll tell you what I didn't do. For 4 weeks, I washed my face, but I never touched the spot for 4 weeks. Isn't that crazy? Okay, that's some of my crazy moments. Anyway, we'll be back tomorrow with some more. We have a lot of stories and some more excerpts out of the book, Restoration of the Levitical Priesthood. Remember, on September the 22nd, we're celebrating our 50th year of producing, creating, and performing inspirational music. This is going to take place at 1907 Columbia Avenue there in Landover, Maryland at 6 o'clock p.m. Go to eventbrite.com and just pull up my name, Harold Sutton, and purchase your tickets. Now, we have limited seating. It's going to be a banquet style setting. We have the stage set, and it's going to be really, really, really nice. Will y'all help me celebrate? Will you do that? Come and help me celebrate 50 years of inspirational music. Until tomorrow, you take care, and the peace and the grace of God be with you always.